Hey, welcome today to Harness the Web. And I'm here today with my guest she works with clients everywhere to make sure that they know why they're using video and for whom they're using it for. Because video marketing should work for them. It should be unnecessarily successful. It shouldn't cost so much that you can't keep it up, and you have a positive return on investment. And it definitely shouldn't be something that you do just because you read you should do it. So with that, Nina, how are you? Nina Froriep.
Yes. Hi, how are you, Steve? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. So really tell us really a little bit more about you and why you doing what you do,
Mhm.
like that.
Great, very good. So I do what I do because I have to do it. It just drives me. So um, the official version is that I enable mission-driven entrepreneurs to grow with consistent video, and I do that through one-on-one coaching or through peer learning. So what that really means is that I'm a video marketer. I niche to service-based providers or mission-driven providers because those are the entrepreneurs that actually need to be on camera because they are the product, right? So my background is in filmmaking, in particular documentary filmmaking. So that was sort of a natural transition into helping people look good on camera and share their mission, share their services.
Cool. And like, so how did you first get into this? Actually, how did you first get into film?
Oh, that is like many decades ago. I was supposed to study, what was it, marketing and something else, marketing and strategy or something like that, or advertising at the Parsons School of Design in New York. I was in New York for one semester. And I come in from Switzerland, Europe, Switzerland. And it was like, I'm going to be here only for one semester. Let me do something really super cool. And I saw that the school bulletin was offering also film classes. I'm like, whoa, how awesome is that? So I took a film class, and that's the end of the story, basically. It's 31 years later. It was just love at first sight because, film is I mean, I didn't quite fully appreciate that, obviously, as a first semester student, but it encompasses everything, right? There's the business aspect, there's the financial aspect, then there's the technical aspect, there's the artistic aspect, there's the organizational aspect, there's the logistical aspect. I mean, it just, there's just everything is possible within the cosmos of filmmaking. And I was always somebody who was good at everything, but I wasn't like, hyper super talented at one thing, other than maybe talking and communicating. So I fell in love with film.
Cool. That's very cool. And you've been at it ever since.
Yes, I have, in one version, in one way or another. Yes, I have.
Now, how long have you been on your own uh, working with entrepreneurs?
I started my company Clockwise Productions back we incorporated in 1996. So many moons ago.
Uh-huh.
And we started operations June 1st of 97. So I'll have my 23rd birthday coming up with my company. And that was actually a function of me needing a visa to stay in the States. And it was either get married or start a company. And I was like, okay, let's start a company. Um, and, at first we were a classic sort of, video service production, like video and film service company, meaning that people who came to New York, in my case, mostly from German speaking Europe, we took them by the hand. We showed them how to shoot in New York and what to do and not to do. And we had the insurance and we had the logistics. And that all died with 9/11. And then I pivoted and did the same thing with Americans. And my client base then became all American. But then about 5 years ago, I sort of saw the writing on the wall that, budgets that used to be like, $50,000, $60,000, everybody now had an iPhone or a smartphone, and budgets just collapsed. And I was asked to do the exact same thing I'd done just a couple of years prior for a tenth of the price. And I'm not exaggerating.
Sure.
And that's where I was like, okay, it's either, you know, I'm either going to like paint myself into the corner and be an old geezer and I'm just going to like eke it out for as long as I can, or I'm going to go for it full in. So I embraced everything digital and went full in.
Cool. That's cool. And today, what kind of people do you service? Like, what
So,
type of businesses, what kind of
yep.
organizations?
So mostly, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's mission driven entrepreneurs, and the mission driven comes from a very specific thought process. So I very quickly realized, like, if you have a bike shop or you have a bakery or you have, you know, a B2C business, most likely you have visuals that you can put out on social media. If you're a bakery, you can show people, you know, doing your goods, like creating your beautiful cakes, or the display of all your cookies in the store, whatever it is, right? If you're a bike store, you can show your mechanic at work. You have automatically built in visual images
Mm-hmm.
of your business. If you are an accountant, if you are a coach, if you're an insurance broker, if you're a realtor, you don't have any of that. I mean, there's so many ways you can skin the cat and show yourself at the computer looking smart, right?
Yeah.
So the moment you're a service provider, you become the product, so to speak. So you need to show up in front of the camera and sell yourself in the digital world today. And I just wanted to take it a step further, because the people I work with are people who are interested and want to have consistent video content, because in my opinion, that's the only way video marketing is successful and gives you a return on your investment.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not mission driven, if you're not driven to give that service, if you're not driven to share your knowledge, then you're probably not going to put out consistent video content, because at some point you're just going to flatline on content ideas or on your enthusiasm to keep it up with video marketing. So that's why I'm sort of niching in, not vertical, but horizontal, on mission-driven entrepreneurs. And then I do go very much on purpose for entrepreneurs who are a little older.
Mm-hmm.
Millennials and younger, they have already built in with their DNA a facility with all things, you know, smartphone platforms, editing, GIFs, graphics, you name it. But entrepreneurs who are sort of either on their, you know, on their, very often it's people who have had a corporate career and now are doing their passion project. So that is sort of, for me, the magic fit. And then lastly, I do look for people who already have done video, because for me to explain the value proposition that I bring to the table to someone who has never done video is not worth the investment that I get from the client's life cycle. So, I mean, I have notable exceptions in my client roster, but in general, I look for people who have done video and want to take it to the next level, or who are doing video and are just not happy with it, or not consistent, or start and stop and sort of don't know what to do with themselves. Those are my favorite clients.
Yeah, that's cool. So, like, can you just give me an idea, like, purpose driven? What would be something that's purpose driven versus something that isn't?
That's in the eye of the beholder, of course. And it's an excellent question. So like, if you are, I think pretty much any service-based small entrepreneur, especially on a second career, is probably going to be mission driven, because they're doing that because it's their passion. They're doing it because they wanted to leave the rat race. They're doing it because they wanted the flexibility. And they're doing it because they really truly want to help whomever they are helping. So I would maybe it's hard to make a distinction, because the people I do work with are passionate about what they do. I basically don't come across the people who are not passionate. But maybe it's somebody who's just doing it because that's all they can do.
I understand.
Yeah.
So
I'm a little lost to how to answer that succinctly.
Yes. So if I could just paraphrase that, it's a person who is on their own, and most likely on their own, and they actually have a desire to do what they're doing, and maybe to make a difference with what they're doing.
Yep, for sure.
versus someone who has a business that's basically to have a job.
Yeah, and
Do you know what I
just
mean?
basically to make money, exactly. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think the distinction is the helping factor. And you know what? They're not necessarily alone, because if you want to do video consistently, I find it easier to work with people who are sort of out of the first 5, 6, 7 years of complete freak out and are much more established already and have maybe a small team, because at some point they're, I make sure that my clients know how to film themselves or shoot themselves. But then when it comes to editing or the graphics or distributing it into, all the different social media channels, that's where, if you are the business owner, you should not be doing that yourself. You should be having a virtual assistant or just, normal assistant. Nowadays everybody's virtual. Do that for you, because that is not, I would venture to insist that that's not the best way of you to spend your time.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's cool. So like I'm trying to think, like, so for someone who's doing that and you're saying they should be doing it consistently, is that like once a week, once a month, once a day?
So my favorite answer to everything is always that depends.
Depends.
And so it depends. So I mean, look, if for me it's more important that you're consistent, that you're doing it daily, right? So when I start with my vlog packages or with my vlog cohort, I normally say like at least once a week. And I find it gets, the more you do it, the easier it gets, because the more of a routine it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is in a way harder to do something once a month, because I always tell my clients to, if at all possible, to batch produce. So, make it, if you're going to post every day, shoot all your videos on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, whatever, and then have them ready for Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Don't make it if you're making a daily habit, very quickly you're Lucy at the from I Love Lucy at the conveyor belt stuffing chocolates in your face because you can't keep up with the speed of the conveyor belt, right?
Yeah.
So I would but to get back to your question, I would say weekly is a good start. But if you have a good presence online and you have a decent following, and my clients mostly are on LinkedIn, some of them on Facebook, and yet again some on Instagram. But those three are sort of the main three social media platforms, and LinkedIn is definitely the predominant one. I would say at least twice would be really great.
Okay. And like in terms of the content, are they educational videos people should be doing? Are they what's the foundation for what you're doing?
So, I mean, you want to give value, right? So that's sort of, and that goes all into like a marketing strategy, whether it is a written post, a video, or, a GIF. It doesn't really matter. You want to give value. And then when you've given a lot of value, then you go in and you put in a soft pitch or a harder pitch, depending on what it is you're selling and how, that is like sort of, bigger picture.
Yeah.
But, and then that's not necessarily just only video marketing. So, I would say, if you have a service, most likely there are generic tips that you can share that are, you're never going to, even if you were to give away all your knowledge in little tip videos, it would never hold someone back from working with you, because they want the whole package as a whole, right? They don't want like a tip here and a tip there, and then they have to stitch it all back together themselves. That wouldn't be a client that you even want. So I always say, do not be worried about giving away too much knowledge. And if you truly keep the videos as short, like a social media video, I always say no longer than 90 seconds. Mine always run over 90 seconds.
That is short.
90 seconds is very short. So, I remember I had a client in the very beginning when I started working with her many years ago. She had like this 7-minute video, and it was like part 1, part 2, part 3, and each part had point 1, 2, and 3. I'm like, you just threw 9 videos out the window. That could have been 2 weeks worth of video.
Yeah.
And it would have been much faster and easier to produce. So I normally say, keep it simple, stick to one thing, and then it's also easy to shoot it. You don't have to memorize an ages long script. You don't have to bother with a teleprompter, and you don't need a cheat sheet, which I'm dead set against. Just roll the camera, roll
Wow.
your phone, and
That's a good
start.
idea. Like
Mm.
that really is a good idea. It keeps you out of that getting in your head really about, oh, what am I going to say and stuff.
Yeah. And the
Hey,
thing is also, it's consistency also makes you better. So even for me, who's done her own videos for a couple of years now, when I just I started again with video challenges, and I did one with a peer group in March. Um, and even for me, being able to speak with a lot less ums and less looking up at the sky for I don't know, inspiration for the next word or thought. I got so much better with that just in 1 month of doing Monday through Friday daily video. So it's all about doing.
yeah, I'm just going to digress here for a second. This is something that I got out of editing my own stuff,
Mm-hmm.
is actually getting the opportunity to see all of the ums and ahs and all those things. It like blew me away. It's like, wow.
You don't notice. And then the funny thing is, I now know, when you look at the zigzag of your audio track, I now actually know what my arms look like. They all
Yeah.
have the same, like it goes, and I'm like, okay, out with you. But it's in an ideal world. I actually just started this series called the Naked Video Series.
Okay.
And what the only thing naked in the naked video series is the video itself, not thankfully not me. The idea is to create videos that don't have graphics, so you just can shoot, upload, go, right? And make it razor focus on the content and not on the bells and whistles of everything around it. And yes, I'm a little nervous about it because I'm a video marketer. I'm holding myself to a higher standard, of course. So I'm like, ooh, there's no graphics. There's no no closed captioning. I'm just going totally naked. So we'll see. I'm going to do this for a month and see how it what the feedback
So
is and how
how
well
long
it.
have you been doing that? Did you just start?
I just started. Yeah, I'm doing a May challenge. It's actually really dumb reason. I fell off a ladder a couple of weeks ago and broke a rib and a foot.
Oh,
And
wow. How are you
yeah.
doing? Are you better?
Oh yeah, much better, much better. I had the hiccups the other night and it wasn't bad. So I'm like, okay, then I must be a lot better if I can have a hiccup without like screaming in
How did
agony.
you do that?
I just slipped. I was doing a big project and I just slipped off the ladder. It was really dumb because COVID-19, the construction guys couldn't finish a job they were in the middle of. And I've been sitting in boxes in my office for 2 months now, and the audio is just not as like it's a whole bookshelf that I'm missing, a whole wall of books,
Okay.
and those just dampen the sound and make
Yeah.
the sound much warmer and better. And without the bookshelf, I mean, most people can't tell the difference. I can. So I wanted my damn bookshelf up, and I was like, okay, if the construction guys aren't coming, I'm doing it myself.
I'll do it.
Yes, exactly. Superwoman. And Superwoman fell off. It's the last rung. I mean, I didn't fall far, but I fell into the metal beam that I was mounting.
Ooh.
So yeah, very painful. So no doing my hair right now. No, like, so I'm like, okay, I've been thinking about this naked video series for a long time. If not now, then when? And so I just started.
Wow. So so if somebody wanted to see you in this naked video series, how would they do that?
So they could so my company is called Clockwise Production, as in counterclockwise. So clockwiseproductions.com is my website. I trust it'll be in the show notes. And my YouTube channel is called Clockwise Productions, and I will put it as a playlist onto YouTube. And the most immediate and most reliable way to see it is on my LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is my digital home. That's where I hang out pretty much all day long. So, and it's just Nina Froriep, F as in Frank, Roriep.
Cool. So your preferred thing is LinkedIn.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And how do you, this is good, because one of the things I think is a challenge on LinkedIn with posting things, unless you're going to post them to your own profile, if you post to the news feed, it's like they evaporate.
Well, I mean, everything on social media evaporates, right? It's not just LinkedIn. And if you start having a decent following, I have quite a few posts who have a long tail, and I will get comments even a week or so later.
Uh-huh.
I think it's also a function of how often you are on LinkedIn and how engaged your community that you have is. I post nearly daily. So Monday through Friday, I will post at the absolute minimum 3 times. I try for 5, and I normally land at 4. I also try to do at least 3 videos a week, if not 5. And I am a part of a little community. We all post at the same time every day, and then we like each other's and comment on each
Sure.
other's
Yeah.
comments to sort
Yeah.
of trigger the algorithm into, bubbling up our content.
Yeah. I understand how that goes.
Yeah.
That's cool. I was going to ask you something about that. Like the little community you have, how many people are in it?
So this is professionally organized. I think our group is about 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
And out of those, I'm roughly guesstimating between the people who are sick, can't make it, have a coughing fit and forgot. It's about 12 to 13 people who post daily.
Okay.
So it's a time. I mean, I spend an hour every morning just posting and then commenting on everybody else's, and then going back to mine and answering my colleagues who commented on my post.
Yeah.
And I've now been doing it since November. So I've been doing about a half a year, and I'm really reaping the benefits. I get sales calls out of it. I get a lot of new requests out of it, and I have a much bigger, a faster, and better pipeline since I've been doing that.
That's cool. I belong to a little group like that too.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing to me to see how much more engagement I end up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even in terms of reach.
Yes, and engagement is more like the thing is with a lot of people get nervous when they look at the numbers and they see that the views go down once you put up video. Because the way the algorithm works on LinkedIn is that a view only counts on a video if people have actually spent 3 seconds with it. So if you're just scrolling through, it doesn't count. But when I did the first video challenge in March, and I did post every single day, my views dropped by over half, which is like scary. But my engagement over tripled, and that's what I really want. I don't care about the views, which that's just a drive by. Hello, here I am. Goodbye. But a engagement means somebody actually stopped, read my post, conceivably listened to my video or watched my video, and then actually left a comment. And that's what you want. You want engagement.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what's next for you? So you're doing this naked video series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's after that?
In terms of digital marketing or in terms of services?
Either one.
Either one. Well, in terms of marketing, let's talk about that because that's where I can probably give more value. So the next thing I'm looking at, and that's something I've been talking about to my partner forever, and is a vlog cast. So we right now are on a podcast, right?
Yeah.
And podcasts have sort of there's an innate structure around them, right? It's on demand. Podcasting, audio services, it is something that I would say 90% of all podcasters do on a consistent and regular schedule. And there is a whole industry around it where you can, distribute it or syndicate it via Stitcher and what is it called?
iTunes.
iTunes and whatever. There's like a gazillion.
Yeah. There's like all kinds of stuff for it.
And for video, that in a way doesn't exist. Like the only outlet you have if you want to be public is YouTube, Vimeo to a lesser degree. So I really would love to kind of sort of get that whole vlogcasting thing going a little more. And I'm starting a series where I have 3 ideas. I want to pursue all 3 of them, of course. And my partner's like, no, we're doing one at a time. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. So the first one is I want to do a series, probably just a season. And, you know, you
Uh-huh.
can call it whatever you want. So I'm going to call it a season and interview other video marketers.
Uh-huh.
So sort of like, you know, find out what everybody else is doing, where everybody else is, because I think especially also now with COVID-19 and this whole shift that, I mean, I've never been busier than I am right now, because a lot of people who said we should do video are now all of a sudden like, holy crap, we now have to do
Yeah.
video, right?
With that, do you think that there are people who have kind of like, now that they've taken the step to do
Mhm.
it, will never go back?
I think so. I think so. I think, I mean, look, I mean, when are we going? I think for a lot of people, yeah, the video is an arm of and a function of selling.
Mm-hmm.
And even myself, I loved going to these big events and network and hear speakers and go into breakout rooms and have coffee with people and dinner and drinks and whatever. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So in the absence of that, all of this is being transferred onto Zoom and other video-based platforms, and that's nothing else but video. And whether you are on a video conference like the 2 of us are right now
Mm-hmm.
via Zoom, or whether you are talking to your smartphone and recording a video, it's the exact same setup.
This is
And
interesting because I
mm,
saw in the last day or two, it was a video online. It was by a producer of events, an event producer.
yep.
And they were saying that they started producing virtual events,
Hmm.
right? And they're actually getting better results with a virtual events than they
Yep.
did with the live events. You know, they would do a 3-day live event,
Hmm.
you know, and there was a lot of revenue in that for whoever
Right.
who's put an event
But
on.
imagine all the expense that you have when you're doing a live event. You need to rent a venue. You need to satisfy whatever, you know, people work that venue. It could be a union venue. Then you have the breakout rooms and you have the coffee and the cookies and then people need to
Yeah,
fly in and they need to go into hotels. I mean, and it's a huge industry that now people who live in that and work in that industry need to find other jobs conceivably. But if there's an amazing event in LA, I now don't have to freak out over my calendar whether I can make it to LA and back in time and what am I going to do with my dog. You know, right now, all I do is I give my dog a bone and then I sit at my computer and watch the event, right? And I'm not spending nearly as much money. And the event organizer, if they're working with the right platform, rather than being limited by a ballroom with 2,000 people, can now have a virtual ballroom of 10,000 people as long as the platform doesn't crash.
yeah.
So if it's truly an event that brings massive value and is of interest to a broad base, then yeah, I mean, this is the future. I mean, and again, I think there's also something for me, like there's like also sad part because like I love having the excuse to go to LA and tack on, you know, a weekend and go hiking
Yeah.
somewhere in the mountains nearby, or, you know, go to, I don't know, Arizona on my way there and do something fun. But it's and I love the whole synergy of being in the room physically with people. But at the same time, we're all strapped for time. Um, it's expensive to travel. It's
Yeah.
expensive to go into the hotels. So yeah,
But I'm with
um,
you. There's something about experiencing the energy in an event,
of course, absolutely.
you know, and it's tough to get that online.
Yes,
But
I totally agree. It's just a different energy. And I tell you, I mean, I'm now in a couple of cohorts, which grew out of 9/11. Jesus Louises, out of COVID-19. The New Yorker in me just came out. And these cohorts can be pretty powerful as well in terms of jiving and in terms of connections. When I did my March video challenge, I had, we were 10 people in the group, and that group bonded so deeply because we're all like, you know, we had people from Australia, from the UK, and all over America. And all of us sort of went into quarantine plus minus within a 2 or 3 week span. And the weekly calls that we had were so intense. And we still, to this day, we still talk every week because it just was such a bonding experience. And the cool thing was that there were people from Australia, there were people from the UK, you know, there's people from Las Vegas, there's people from New York and Virginia. So it was just so cosmopolitan because it was, there's no limit with digital, you know, other than
Yeah.
maybe all having to do it at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, there's just no limit to how many people you can have.
Yeah, that is the one problem. If you have someone from Great Britain and someone from Australia
That
in the
made it
same
made it
group,
really tough. It made it really tough to schedule our weekly calls. But we the British woman had her glass of wine in her hand, and the guy from Australia was just a little googie-eyed from his, you know, sleep. But it worked. It worked.
it's amazing. Um, what was I going to ask you? I guess it's really like, so just tell us really quickly about the kinds of products and services you do offer. Like, how do you package things?
Hmm. So, of course, right now we're all packaging, repackaging, trying out different things because just the world has shifted on us.
Yeah.
For me, the shift isn't that huge. So I have my signature service is a so-called vlogcast cohort. And if anybody has a better name for it, I'm all ears because it's a mouthful. So basically the idea is that we teach our clients how to create a vlog cast, like a podcast,
Okay.
with video, and be consistent with it and integrate it into their daily routines such that it doesn't become this huge production, but it's something that they can do easily and continuously and stick with it. So a huge element of that is community and accountability and support. So in the cohort, what I do is I teach certain elements one-on-one because it's a full white glove service. But I also have weekly group calls and put groups of people of 5 together. So when you do develop your signature vlogcast, you have other entrepreneurs who can give their feedback on what it is that you're planning on doing, on how you're structuring it, on what your content is, on who your guests are going to be, or maybe there's no guests, maybe it's just you talking. But you have sort of that support, and with that support comes accountability of a group setting, and not just me going like, you should, you have to, etc.
So for people who don't know, could you just give us a really quick definition of a cohort?
A cohort is a group of people who share something in common, basically, as
Okay.
simple as that. So it's like basically a group program, just that cohort is sort of right now, so it's definitely a fashion word. And I love using it. I just think, and then, you know, clockwise is a C and cohort is a C. So, you know, it all works
That
visually.
works
And,
good.
you know, I'm a visual person. What can I say? I love anything that starts with a C.
Nice.
Like
Nice.
consistency, you know?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So I've just noticed our time is just about up.
Oh, wow.
And
Already. Yeah.
yeah, so like, what other kinds of comments do you want to leave people with? Like, what's a message for people?
So the message and what's dear and near to my heart is video. So video does not have to be complicated. Video can be as easy as you recording yourself with your iPhone or smartphone and putting it up on social media. You just want to be consistent with it, and the consistency A makes you stand out on social media, and B, doing it and doing it again and again and again and again makes you perfect eventually, or good. So just do it and don't worry about how you look, don't worry about how you sound, and watch other people do it, like me, because then you'll actually learn something in the process,
Yeah.
and just do it. So it's just like, it's, you know, it's a little old, and, you know, a certain company's been using it for decades, but just do it. Is the golden advice I can give.
Okay, cool. Very cool. And for people who want to get a hold of you, how do they do that? How do they find out more about you and how to?
I think LinkedIn is, I mean, my website, I'm sort of going through, I'm getting a new website like any moment now. So I don't know whether it's already going to be up, but there is the clockwiseproductions.com website. But then I would say hit me up on LinkedIn,
Okay.
Nina Froriep. I'm the only Nina Froriep. There's no one else with that name. And pardon my dog. Shh.
He's telling you you've been on long enough.
Yeah, exactly. It's like time for his dinner time is in 50 minutes. So he's making sure I'm like starting to focus on him. So yeah, so I would say LinkedIn is probably the best place to find
Okay,
me.
cool. Great. Well, hey, it's been great to have this conversation with you today. And we thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
It was awesome, Stephen. Thanks for some awesome questions. And I obviously always love talking about video marketing and can't help myself. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks again.